Hello again, I'm Zach Jones, president of Ascend.
And I'm Lauren Burton, director of digital strategy for Ascend.
And in case this is your first time watching, Ascend is a digital marketing agency that works with community colleges, workforce development groups, and other higher education groups to help them increase awareness and leads. So today we're going to talk about how do you measure the health of a digital campaign for a community college? And specifically, how do you know if it's working? How do you know if you're doing a good job of managing your budget? What type of return on investment or ROI are you getting? So let's kind of go through a few of these steps. So there's really two types of campaigns that most community colleges are going to be doing. One is going to be generally for awareness, just to kind of get the word out, and the others are going to be more specific, maybe promoting a specific career track or career path. So let's kind of divide those up, and let's start with awareness. So Lauren, how would you measure the health when you're working with our colleges that we work with? How do you determine and measure the health of a digital campaign, an awareness campaign?
So when it comes to just an awareness-only type of campaign, it's a little more basic and simple. There's not as much to it,
The first thing you can do is stop. Just go, start it back.
So when it comes to an awareness-only campaign, it's a little more basic, and there's not as much to it as if you're tracking a lead gen campaign or even like a website traffic campaign. So when you look at an awareness campaign you set up, there's a bunch of different kind of platforms you can utilize. You can utilize the platform that you're actually running the campaign from. So for instance, if you're running ads on Facebook, Facebook has quite a few good like KPI trackers within there that kind of shows you how your ad's performing and everything. And then also Google Analytics is another one that I would utilize. And the reason I say Google Analytics is I know that Google Analytics measures your website traffic. So if you're doing a brand awareness campaign, what's the most important thing to you? The number of people you want to reach, the number of impressions you want to serve. And so you look at, we'll just keep using Facebook as an example. You look at Facebook and you want to make sure that you're delivering a lot of impressions and you're reaching a lot of people, and you want to make sure that that cost per impression is relatively, or cost per 1,000 impressions is relatively low. And that CPM is what cost per 1,000 impressions means. So you want to look at the CPM, the impressions, and the reach. And then you want to look at Google Analytics and at least just look and see if there's a spike in your website traffic while you're running the campaign. And I know it's not supposed to be a drive website traffic objective type of campaign, but you still, at the end of the day, let's face it, we still want people to explore us more as a result of the ads we're showing, no matter what the objective behind the ads are. So you want to kind of look at the analytics side and see if there's an uptick in your website traffic along with you running your campaigns. And those 4 factors will kind of give you a good idea of whether your campaign's doing well or not.
And it's hard to tell, but it can be very subjective, an awareness campaign can. Because unlike a more traditional lead generation campaign, which we'll talk about in just a moment, obviously a lot of community colleges have tight budgets, and it can be difficult to get buy-in from administration to be able to invest the money in this campaign in the first place. There's no black and white data that you can point to that clearly shows this was or was not a success. And I think the analytics portion is very important. You'll be able to see the impressions and how many eyeballs saw your ads, but sometimes you may be faced with the question of what exactly does that mean? Who are these people? What did they do after they saw the ad? And with the analytics portion, you can specifically do a date range of the dates the campaign ran, and hopefully see a boost in website traffic. Organic, maybe they went and searched Google for your college after seeing the ad, or maybe they just typed in the URL directly. So I think the analytics portion is very important. But let's talk about more traditional, more common lead generation campaign. An example might be you're promoting your nursing program and you want people to request more information, or maybe it's just a more generalized push for increased applications from high school seniors, for example. If you have that type of campaign going, how do you traditionally, or typically rather, measure the health of those campaigns?
So a lead gen objective campaign is going to be much more complex. And to measure the success of a lead gen campaign, you need to have some stuff set up before you even actually start running the campaign. So whoever it is on your team who's in charge of tracking, I don't know, who's in charge of tracking how many students you're getting and what your goals are for the year and, you know, what your financial types of goals are for the year. You need to get with that team and you need to lay out, okay, so this is how many, we'll just use like general application submission from students as an example. So this is how many applications we want submitted for this year, period, like overall. Mm-hmm. And then this is how many applications we would like submitted from our digital marketing efforts. So how many ever applications are submitted through digital marketing. And then from there, you've got to look then at like your closing rate and how many people you get to your site that actually then convert to submitting applications. So then you need to have an idea of a closing rate. So then you have a closing rate and your applications, and so then you kind of can use that information to judge how many people you actually need to touch and show your ads to that will then go through that and submit an application. Mm-hmm. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but
it's just backwards back.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of starting at the end and working your way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, you've got to set up those key goals that you have in mind first before you actually start the campaign. And then once you start the campaign, that's when you want to pay attention to the people you're reaching to ensure that you're hitting enough people to meet that closing rate percentage that will then lead to the leads. Mm-hmm. So you want to look at the people you're reaching, you want to look at the number of clicks on your ads, and then you also need to set up some conversion tracking goals, which you can do through whatever platform you're using, whether it's Facebook and Instagram or Google AdWords or whatever programmatic display campaign you may be running. You need to set up conversion tracking so that'll actually tell you how many leads you're getting from your ads that you're also running. So,
and that's, you know, you also just want to, you know, she touched on the more automated ways of tracking this. You know, again, Google Analytics and these other platforms can kind of help you look at all this data at a quick glance. You also want to maintain that open communication. You know, Lauren talked about the importance of getting the other departments involved early on and setting these goals and preparing for the campaign. You want to maintain that communication so that they can tell you, you know, of the leads that we're generating, you know, what type of quality are they? What are their typical needs that maybe we didn't anticipate? And then you can go back and optimize the ad creative to better suit, what's actually happening in terms of the campaign. So that constant communication is very important.
Yeah, so that's a good point that you just made. You want to make sure for a lead gen type of campaign, this isn't a brand awareness campaign. This is supposed to be much more targeted. Mm-hmm. So if you're focusing on getting more applications just for general enrollment, and you see that most of the people who submit applications have been like high school students ages 16 to 18, like you want to make sure that you're targeting those ads to high school students ages 16 to 18 because you know that's kind of the cream of the crop and where you're going to get most of your clicks and therefore application submissions from. So targeting is also an important key into making sure that it's a successful campaign other than just tracking the KPIs and stuff.
Right. And I think that's the key is also set aside some time each week. You just make this a part of your schedule. Whether you're doing it in-house, you need to set time aside. If you're hiring an agency to help you with this, you know, hopefully they're going to send you some kind of report. You know, we do a detailed monthly report for our customers that we work with. Don't hesitate to ask questions. You know, when you get that report, it's easy to get lost in the numbers and have a hard time determining what exactly they're telling you. So, you know, ask your agency, ask your marketing staff if we can discuss this in depth and really dive in and be sure you understand it. Because again, that constant optimization is very important. Once you identify what's going on, and if it's healthy or not, you need to be able to always try to be looking to make it healthier.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. If you have any questions about this, we hope you'll ask us below or feel free to comment as well. Until next time, thanks for watching.